There are moments in life when the weight of trials feels unbearable, when the road ahead seems uncertain, and when suffering whispers that all is lost. You may find yourself asking, "Why is this happening? Why must I endure this pain?" It is in these moments, when the soul is weary and faith feels fragile, that we must hold onto a truth far greater than our understanding. Your trials are not the end of your story. They are the very path through which your greatest blessings will emerge. Pain is not a punishment. It is not evidence of abandonment. Rather, it is a sacred chisel, sculpting the soul, shaping you into something stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the blessings that await. What appears as a storm meant to break you is in fact a divine preparation to build you. Every hardship carries within it the seed of something greater, something unseen. Perhaps today you feel burdened by trials that seem relentless. Perhaps you wonder if your suffering has any purpose at all. But I tell you this: the same fire that burns also refines. The same storm that rages also clears the path. The same trials that bring you to your knees will one day become the very blessings that lift you higher than you ever imagined. Stay with me until the end of this message, because what you are going through is not in vain. There is something powerful on the other side of your struggle. And when you finally see how the pieces fit together, you will realize that every tear, every battle, every unanswered question was leading you to something extraordinary. Let us journey together into this truth. Your trials will become your greatest blessings. Suffering is not meaningless, though in the moment it may feel like an unbearable weight pressing down on the soul. There are times when trials seem to stretch beyond reason, moments when the mind searches for answers but finds only silence. It is in these moments that one is tempted to believe that suffering is random, that pain is without purpose, that life's hardships are nothing more than cruel and senseless obstacles. But this is not the truth. Every trial carries within it a purpose far greater than what can be seen in the moment. Pain has a way of narrowing our vision, of making us believe that the present struggle is all there is. But if we step back, if we allow ourselves to see beyond the suffering, we begin to notice that no trial comes without shaping us in some way. The difficulties that once seemed unbearable become the very experiences that strengthen the heart. The loss that once felt like destruction becomes the doorway to something new. The pain that once seemed senseless reveals itself to be a tool that has chiseled away weakness and fear, leaving behind a faith that is unshakable. It is often in the darkest seasons that the greatest transformations take place. A seed buried beneath the soil does not see the light, yet it grows. A diamond is formed under immense pressure, though it cannot see the beauty it will one day become. A soul walking through suffering cannot always perceive what is being built within. Yet, something is taking shape, something deeper, something stronger, something eternal. The mind may wrestle with questions, asking why trials must come, but the heart, when surrendered to divine wisdom, begins to understand that nothing is wasted. To believe that suffering has no meaning is to believe that the Creator is careless with His design. And yet, throughout all of existence, nothing is wasted. The fallen leaves nourish the soil, the broken waves carve the shore, the burning fire forges steel. Likewise, trials refine the soul, shaping it into something greater than it was before. What once seemed to be suffering without reason is later revealed to be preparation for something beyond what was imagined. The waiting, the hardship, the unanswered prayers, all of it is part of a greater process, one that turns pain into purpose, loss into gain, struggle into strength. There will be moments when the weight feels too heavy, when the questions seem louder than the answers, when the road ahead is uncertain. But even then, even in the depths of suffering, there is a truth that remains unshaken. The trials endured today are not the final chapter, they are not the end of the story. In time, what once seemed like an unbearable burden will be seen as the very thing that shaped the soul for something far greater. And when that moment of realization comes, when the blessings unfold, when the purpose behind the pain is revealed, it will become clear that no suffering was ever wasted. Pain is a divine teacher, though at first it does not appear that way. When suffering enters a life, it does not come with an explanation, nor does it ask permission. It arrives unannounced, often shaking the foundation of everything once thought secure. It is easy to resist it, to push against it, to demand answers for why it has come. But pain, when met with an open heart, does not simply break. It teaches. It strips away illusions, removes false securities, and reveals truths that comfort and ease could never have uncovered. It is not a cruel punishment, but a refining process, shaping the soul in ways that only hardship can. Comfort may offer rest, but it does not always bring growth. It is through struggle that true wisdom is gained, through loss that true appreciation is found, through hardship that faith is tested and strengthened. If life were without difficulty, if everything always unfolded with ease, there would be no depth, no transformation, no true understanding of what it means to endure and overcome. Pain pushes beyond what is comfortable, beyond what is familiar, and in doing so, it forces one to discover the strength that was always there, but never needed to be called upon. It is often only in hindsight that one sees how trials have been teachers. The moments that once seemed unbearable are later understood to have been necessary. The heartaches that once seemed cruel are later revealed to have removed what was never meant to remain. The disappointments that once felt like failure are later seen as redirections towards something greater. Each struggle, each moment of suffering carries within it a lesson that could not have been learned any other way. There is no denying that pain is difficult, that suffering is hard to endure, but to see it only as an obstacle is to miss its purpose. Every hardship carries with it the potential for growth. Every trial holds within it a seed of wisdom. Those who embrace this truth, who allow pain to teach rather than destroy, who seek the lesson rather than fight the process, find themselves transformed in ways they never imagined. Their hearts grow stronger, their faith deepens, their vision expands. They emerge not broken but refined, not weakened but strengthened, not lost but more fully alive than ever before. The greatest teachers are not always the ones who speak the gentlest words. Sometimes the most profound lessons come from the hardest experiences. The fire that refines gold is not gentle, yet it brings out purity. The storm that shakes the earth is not quiet, yet it renews the land. Likewise, the trials that seem the most unbearable are often the very things that shape a soul into something resilient, something wise, something capable of carrying the blessings that are yet to come. Pain is not the enemy. It is a guide, a sculptor, a teacher, leading the willing heart toward a transformation that could never have been achieved without it. God works through struggle, though in the midst of hardship, it rarely feels that way. It is easy to believe that difficulty is a sign of abandonment, that suffering means one has been forgotten, that unanswered prayers mean silence from above. But this is a misunderstanding of how the divine operates. Struggle is not a sign that God has turned away. It is often the very evidence that He is near, working, refining, shaping, and preparing. The human heart longs for ease, but growth rarely comes through comfort. It is in the trials, in the pressing, in the moments of deep struggle that God's hand is most powerfully at work. If the journey were always smooth, there would be little need for faith. If life were without challenge, there would be no room for growth. Strength is not built in times of ease, but in times of resistance. Just as a tree's roots grow deeper when the wind is strong, just as muscles grow through strain, the soul grows when it is stretched beyond what it thought it could bear. God does not delight in suffering, but He knows that struggle is often the very thing that prepares a person to step into something greater. He sees beyond the present pain and into the purpose it will serve. Consider the moments of struggle not as evidence of divine distance, but as proof of divine preparation. A life without hardship would be a life untested, unshaped, unready for the blessings that lie ahead. The challenges faced today are often the very things that make one capable of receiving the things long prayed for. Every difficulty carries within it a hidden gift. The gift of strength, the gift of wisdom, the gift of trust. But these gifts do not reveal themselves immediately. They unfold slowly, often long after the struggle has passed, when one looks back and realizes that what once seemed like an obstacle was actually a path. God works through struggle not to break but to build. The trials that push beyond limits are not there to destroy, but to expand what is possible. The delays, the setbacks, the disappointments, all of them serve a purpose. They teach endurance, they build resilience, they force a dependence on the divine that ease could never produce. And in time, what once seemed like hardship will be understood as preparation. The moments of deepest pain will be seen as the very moments that shape the soul for the blessings yet to come. There is a temptation to resist struggle, to fight against it, to see it as something that should not be. But those who trust, those who lean into the process rather than resist it, find that they emerge transformed. They find that the very thing they thought would break them became the thing that made them stronger. They find that God was never absent but was working all along, turning every difficulty into a step towards something great. The struggle is not the end of the story. It is the path to something extraordinary. God's timing is not bound by human expectations, and this truth becomes most evident in seasons of waiting. There are moments when prayers seem to go unheard, when doors refuse to open, when life appears to stand still despite the deepest desires for change. It is in these moments that doubt creeps in, whispering that nothing is happening, that the struggle is endless, that perhaps divine help will never come. But what feels like delay is often divine preparation. What seems like silence is often the quiet work of something greater unfolding beyond what the human eye can perceive. The waiting season is not a punishment. It is not an abandonment. It is a refining process, a sacred time in which the soul is strengthened, faith is deepened, and the heart is prepared to receive the very blessings that have been longed for. If God were to give everything immediately, before one is ready, the weight of the blessing would be too great to carry. A foundation must be built, a strength must be developed, a trust must be cultivated. What appears to be delay is actually an act of love, ensuring that when the blessing comes, it is not only received, but sustained. Consider the great figures throughout time who endured long seasons of waiting before stepping into their purpose. Their delay was not denial. Their struggles were not wasted. Every challenge, every unanswered prayer, every closed door was shaping them, preparing them, making them into the person who could carry the responsibility of the blessings that were to come. It is no different today. What feels like being held back is often the very thing ensuring that one is ready to move forward when the time is right. Patience in waiting is not passive. It is not simply standing still. It is an active trust, a surrender to the process, a deepening of faith even when nothing seems to be happening. It is in this time that endurance is built, that trust is tested, that inner strength is forged. The waiting season is not empty, it is full of purpose. It is the unseen work of something being prepared, something greater than what is currently understood. It is a stretching, a refining, a strengthening that will allow for the fulfillment of what has been promised. Many give up in the waiting. They grow weary, they lose hope, they believe that silence means no. But those who hold on, those who continue to trust, those who remain steadfast in faith despite the delay, will one day look back and see that everything was happening exactly as it needed to. The timing was never off. The preparation was never wasted. The struggle was never meaningless. What once seemed like a delay will be understood as divine alignment, a perfect unfolding of something that could not have arrived a moment sooner or later than it did. And when the blessing finally comes, it will be clear why the waiting was necessary all along. God often removes what is familiar to make room for something greater, though in the moment this can feel like loss rather than preparation. There are seasons when things once relied upon are taken away, when relationships shift, when plans fall apart, when the path that once seemed certain suddenly disappears. It is in these moments that the heart struggles to understand, questioning why what was once a source of comfort has been stripped away. But what seems like loss is often the clearing of space for something far beyond what was originally envisioned. Human nature clings to what is known, to what feels secure, to what brings immediate comfort. But growth does not happen in the familiar. Transformation does not take place in stagnation. Sometimes God must remove what is no longer serving a purpose, what is keeping a person small, what is preventing them from stepping into something greater. The loss is not a punishment, it is an act of love, a divine rearrangement, a making of space for what is meant to come next. There is pain in letting go, in seeing plans unravel, in watching what was once so certain slip away. But if the heart is willing to trust, if the soul is willing to surrender, what comes next will be greater than what was left behind. The temporary discomfort of release will one day be seen as the very thing that allowed for something extraordinary to take root. The loss that once felt unbearable will be understood as a necessary step towards something far more beautiful than could have been imagined. In the midst of change, it is easy to resist, to fight against what is being removed, to hold on tightly to what feels familiar. But those who trust, those who allow themselves to let go, those who believe that there is something greater ahead, will find that what they once thought was the end was only the beginning. The space left behind is not empty, it is open, ready to be filled with something far greater than what was once there. God's plans are not small. They are not limited by human understanding. They are expansive, far-reaching, beyond comprehension. But to step into them, there must be room. There must be a willingness to release, to trust, to believe that what is being taken away is not truly loss, but preparation. And in time, when the new season unfolds, when the purpose behind the change is revealed, it will become clear that nothing was truly lost, only exchanged for something far greater. There are moments when the soul is tested, when everything seems to be falling apart, when prayers seem to go unanswered, and when doubt creeps in, whispering that hope is in vain. In these moments, it is easy to question, easy to wonder if the struggle has meaning, easy to believe that perhaps God has turned away. But what may feel like abandonment is often an invitation to go deeper, to trust more fully, to surrender completely. Faith is not proven in moments of ease, but in the midst of uncertainty, in the space where nothing makes sense, yet trust remains. The human heart longs for immediate answers, for reassurance that the struggle will end quickly, for a clear path ahead. But God's ways are not bound by human timelines, nor does He work according to earthly logic. There are times when He remains silent, not because He has forsaken, but because He is teaching. Silence is not absence. It is the sacred space where faith is refined, where dependence on the divine is tested, where the soul learns to trust, not in outcomes, but in the one who holds all things together. A seed does not grow in the light. It is buried in darkness, unseen, hidden beneath the soil, where transformation takes place long before the first signs of life appear. In the same way, when life seems still, when progress seems invisible, when prayers seem to echo into emptiness, something is happening beneath the surface. The roots are deepening, the foundation is strengthening, the soul is being prepared for what is to come. The waiting, the struggle, the uncertainty, it is not wasted. It is the very process through which transformation takes place. Faith is not about knowing every step before it happens. It is about walking forward, even when the way is unclear. It is about trusting that even in silence there is purpose. It is about believing that even in the darkest moments, light is coming. And it is in this kind of faith that true strength is found. In this surrender that true peace is discovered. In this trust that the greatest blessings unfold. When the moment finally arrives, when the breakthrough comes, when the blessing appears, the struggle will make sense. The silence will be understood as preparation. The waiting will be seen as necessary. And looking back, it will be clear that God was never absent, never distant, never unfaithful. He was working all along, leading, guiding, shaping, and preparing. The blessing will come, but more than that, the soul will have been changed in ways that only the struggle could have made possible. And that transformation, that deepened faith, that unshakable trust, that is the greatest gift of all. Life's trials often seem overwhelming, like endless storms that threaten to break the spirit. But every struggle, every challenge, every moment of hardship carries within it the seeds of transformation. What may seem like obstacles are often stepping stones, leading not to despair but to greater strength, deeper faith, and unexpected blessings. Nothing that happens is without purpose. Every delay, every loss, every unanswered prayer is a part of something far greater than what can be seen in the present moment. The soul is being prepared, refined, and strengthened, not for destruction, but for something extraordinary. God does not waste pain. He does not allow suffering without reason. Though the human heart may not understand in the moment, every difficulty carries a hidden purpose. The waiting season is not a time of emptiness, but of growth. The struggle is not a punishment, but a path to greater strength. The loss is not the end, but the clearing of space for something better. And when the time is right, when the soul is ready, the blessings will come. Not just in external rewards, but in the deep, unshakable peace that comes from knowing that everything was always in divine alignment. Looking back, there will be clarity. The pieces will come together. The moments of despair will be seen as moments of preparation. The unanswered prayers will be recognized as divine protection. The painful goodbyes will be understood as necessary shifts leading to something greater. God has not forgotten. He has not abandoned. He has been working all along, turning trials into blessings, struggles into wisdom, and pain into purpose. So hold on. Keep trusting, keep believing, even when the path is unclear. The transformation happening now is leading to something far greater than what the mind can currently imagine. The trials of today are creating the strength needed for the blessings of tomorrow. And one day, everything will make sense. Until then, trust, surrender, and keep moving forward, knowing that every step is guided by divine hands. If this message has touched your heart, if you believe in the power of divine transformation, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let this message reach those who need it, those who are struggling, those who need hope. And remember, your trials will not break you, they will bless you. Thank you for watching, and may you walk forward with faith, knowing that something beautiful is unfolding in your life.